Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
The Keokuk County Sheriff's Office is currently taking applications to fill 2 open positions for Deputy Sheriff. Applications for the first round of testing should be turned in on or before July 25th, 2025. Applications can be downloaded at the Keokuk County website at keokukcounty.iowa.gov/jobs. You can also contact the Keokuk County Sheriff's Office at 641-622-2727. For complete job information and starting wage information, go to the Keokuk County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, or again, keokukcounty.iowa.gov/jobs. Wrestling returns to the Delta Dome in Delta, Iowa with Central Empire Wrestling on Saturday, August 2nd at 7 p.m. Austin Bayless makes his long-awaited return to the ring. Plus Jared Thumb, Rory Fox, Kelsey Magnolia, and Sage Hale, along with the whole cast and crew of CEW, will be on hand August 2nd at the Delta Gymnasium. Advance tickets are just $20 and $25 at the door. Get your tickets at CentralEmpireWrestling.com. Professional wrestling makes its long-awaited return to the historic Delta Dome in Delta, Iowa, Saturday, August 2nd. The Sigourney Golf and Country Club Ladies Open Master Championship is this Friday, July 25th. There will be golfing and prizes throughout the day, and lots of fun with happy hour on the patio with live music by Sierra Griggs. You hear Sierra's music on Skunk River Radio, and now you can see her live this Friday, July 25th at the Sigourney Golf and Country Club from 4 to 8 p.m. You don't have to golf to enjoy the music. Everyone's invited. Stop out for food, drinks, and a whole lot of fun at the happy hour on the patio this Friday after the Ladies Open Master Championship at the Sigourney Golf and Country Club. Once again, the Keswick Tavern is the place to be this weekend with not one, but 2 bands. Friday night, it's 3 Buck Chuck playing from 8 to 11 p.m. And Saturday, Kenny Falls is back, also playing from 8 to 11. Of course, there's no cover charge either night. Tell your friends, have some drinks, and most importantly, have a great time at the Keswick Tavern at 117 South Iron Street in Keswick, Iowa. 3 Buck Chuck this Friday, Kenny Falls on Saturday, both from 8 to 11 p.m. and no cover charge at the Keswick Tavern. Hey, and welcome in. It's a Tuesday night. We are at Tuesday Night Tune-Up live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch in downtown Oskaloosa. Of course, we thank them for being our sponsor and our host venue as well on a Tuesday night. We also thank Copeland Auto Body, Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Body Shop, Sigourney Motors, James Family Greenhouse, and Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Iowa. Let's take it to Safe Grafke. You've got a table full tonight, Safe, and you're starting off with Ashley from Pizza Ranch.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. I'm your host, Safe Grafke, and we have Curtis Vanderwall back in the house with us tonight. Curtis, glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
We do, and Ashley from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch is with us as well. Ashley, thank you for coming on here tonight, and last week we did not get to see you here, but we know that there is a lot of things going on with the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch, and we're really excited for you to tell us on what's been going on here.
Yeah, so, unfortunately last week you guys did a different day. I wasn't here
did,
that
yes.
day, so I'm happy to be back tonight. We are still running our Pizza in the Park promotion, which is a one-topping large carryout, $9.99. All
That's
week
cheap.
long,
That's a good deal.
That's
Yeah.
a really good deal.
So anytime you guys want to go to the beach, go to the square, watch the music, watch the band play, come in here, grab your pizza, take it out, let's go.
Yeah.
So the other specials that we have going on this week, we also have all of our catering specials. I'm really trying to get catering pushed out the door.
Okay.
We haven't done a lot of catering before, but I would really like to start doing more.
Sure.
And with that, Ashley, you're targeting like family situations, or like if a company around town is having a lunch meeting or something like that? Is that kind of what your focus is
Yeah.
on those?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys can do, weddings or bachelorette or bachelor parties, different things of that nature as well, right?
Yep. Oh, all kinds of that stuff.
Any gathering of people that need fed?
Yes. If you are hungry and you are a lot of people, please call me.
I like
simple.
that.
I
That's
like
pretty
it.
simple. No, and we know you guys have some other things. You have your late night buffet. I believe that's what, $9.99 for your late night buffet?
Yep. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. $9.99. It's the cheapest buffet we have all week.
Yeah, that's like theft, in my opinion. I mean, you can come in here and get
It's
some.
a lot for $10.
That is a lot. I don't think you could eat everything on there for $10.
Yeah, I think it's definitely you can get your money's worth if you come hungry.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so you have a kind of an ongoing community impact night. You had the night, but that's kind of transitioned still into some other stuff going along with that for going
Yeah.
back to school, correct?
Yeah, we just did a community impact night for we partnered with the United Way, collecting school supplies and monetary donations for them. We do have a ton of school supplies that we collected that night. We have another community impact night coming up. This is just in infancy, but it's for veterans casting away disabilities. It's we're working with the chamber, we're working with the VA, raising money for veterans who need a little bit of help. So
that's
we
incredible.
don't have
That
the
is.
exact date for that yet. Probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
As the
great.
details firm up, you'll be able to let us know here in the coming weeks.
Yep, I just started planning this today.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing what you guys are doing for the community, that you have been doing for the community here in the last couple of years. It's just great. So thank you so much for that, and we look forward to hearing some more on this VA night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up here with Ashley from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. We are going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back with tonight's guest in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
When you need a break, Pizza Ranch is ready. Rough day or good day, sometimes you just need a buffet. And we've got all your favorites always ready to serve. Come to the place that puts a smile on your face. Make it a buffet day at Pizza Ranch.
At Copeland Auto Body, we strive to be the area's consistent provider of advanced collision repair. We want all of our customers to have a stress-free experience when they bring their car to Copeland Auto Body. Give them a call at 641-653-2140. Find them online at CopelandAutoBody.com. Copeland Auto Body, located in Hedrick, Copeland Collision Center in Oskaloosa, and Copeland Towing and Recovery in Sigourney. For auto body and towing for Hedrick, Oskaloosa, and Sigourney, see Copeland Auto Body. If you've had a run-in with a deer, a fender bender, or any sort of accident with your vehicle, take it to Tony and the guys at Sigourney Body Shop at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. They'll get you back on the road in no time, and Tony will help you out with a free estimate. It's service with a smile at Sigourney Body Shop. Give them a call at 641-622-2022, or again, stop in at 210 West Clark Street in Sigourney. Got a problem under the hood? At Sinclair Napa, we're here to help. No matter if you're tuning up the family car, gearing up your heavy-duty truck, or maintaining your boat, we have the know-how you need to keep your ride running strong. Whether it's top-notch parts, expert advice, or unbeatable customer service, Sinclair Napa is your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Because at Sinclair Napa, we don't just sell parts, we're here to help you get the job done. Stop by today in Sigourney, Montezuma, Williamsburg, Centerville, or Ottumwa, or visit us at SinclairNapa.com. Hey, we are back live at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch for the Tuesday night tune-up, getting you ready for the racing action this weekend. We do thank all of our sponsors. Our headliner, of course, the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Also thank Copeland Auto Body, Sigourney Body Shop, Sigourney Motors, Sinclair Napa, James Family Greenhouse, and Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Iowa. Let's take it now to Safe and Curtis with our guest for tonight, guys.
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up, where it is the interview portion of the night, and we are very excited here to have Guthrie Vrew with us from the Southern Iowa Fair Board and Race Committee here with us. Guthrie, thank you so much for coming on here tonight.
Thanks for the invite.
So, Guthrie, I think it's important that we have you on here tonight because I think that there is a lot of not enough knowledge out there about everything that goes on behind the scenes that to make a racetrack go, to get all the sponsorship and whatnot, and just the overall, help each and every week to make this thing go. So I'd kind of like to just open the floor to you to talk about kind of behind the scenes, what it all entails to make a race happen on Wednesday nights here at the Southern Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, it's not just show up at 5 o'clock and open the gates and we're going to go racing at 7:15.
Start counting the cash, right?
Yeah. I'll just go back 9 years ago when I got on the Fair Board. Southern Iowa Speedway was probably not going to happen. A buddy of mine, Jeremy Laubrick, and I got on the Fair Board, and they pretty much said racing was going to close up shop. We were done. They were done, and I actually reached out to Nathan Wood. He was kind of our savior, and he jumped on board and proposed a deal to where, hey, we can make this work. We just got to adjust a few things and come to the Fair Board, and they kind of put it in my ballpark and said roll with it. So that's kind of where we formed a race committee. So it started with 3 Fair Board members, me, Jeremy Laubrick, and I can't even remember. Troy DeMooney, I think, was on there. Troy has resigned from the Fair Board, and now Justin Stout has taken his position.
On the Fair Board and in the race committee?
Yes,
yeah.
yep. So we kind of wanted to have Fair Board members so we could relay stuff back to the Fair Board because it's ultimately the Fair Board's decision on what we do. And then so I just started reaching out. Obviously, Ryan Humphrey and I have been friends for a long time. And then Chris Walker, I called him. I'm like, hey, you want to be on this race committee we're forming? And he's like, yeah, sure. Well, he didn't know what that consisted of either. And we kind of just formed a group of guys that were outside the Fair Board that had racing knowledge to bring ideas. And Nathan was on there for a while, and then he kind of wanted to step away, which was great. I mean, without Nathan, I don't know that this thing would ever launched off. So we kind of took it by the horns and had to go get all the sponsors and sponsor boards. And it's tough being Fair Board and race committee, you're trying to get fair sponsors to keep the fair going and race. You're kind of beating the same doors down,
Yeah.
And luckily we have a community that loves both, and it's worked really well. So.
Yeah, it's tough. I was lucky that, when Nathan stepped aside, I came and helped you guys for a year there. And, it's tough. There's a lot. And honestly, it's not like a sponsor's always going to renew, especially like class sponsorships and stuff. So it's a lot of background work that goes behind it. And I don't think enough people realize how hard it is to keep not only sponsors interested in coming back each and every year, because the economy is always changing, and right now we're kind of in a weird spot, and then to keep these people coming back every year, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's got to be, and I think one thing that you guys have on your side is the extremely rich tradition, right, of that. But if we can, I'd like to take even a step further back and maybe explain how unique this situation is, because of the other, let's say, 30 or 40 weekly dirt racing tracks in the state of Iowa, there aren't very many that operate like the Southern Iowa Speedway does, right?
Yeah. So, you go back and I would say 85 to 90% of the people that you see working around that speedway are volunteers and their wives. And everybody knows how busy families are. we have a show pig business. Kids are playing sports, and we finagle all that to make it work. And we don't take a paycheck home. I mean, we're there I try to get there on Wednesdays at noon, and we got to cook the hamburger. We got to get the concessions ready. We got to count the money, get the purse money ready, make sure the speakers are going, and
worry about the weather,
track
track preparation,
yeah. And I mean,
there's no shortage of stuff. But to those watching and listening to this, the normal way that this would work would be like an entrepreneurial person would generally come to the fair board and make a proposal and say, hey, I want to be the promoter of your weekly races, and here's my proposal. And you guys would probably negotiate and figure out who gets what cut of what gate and concessions and all that stuff. So the fact that I personally think is so incredible is that the fair board has basically said, hey, we're going to take that all on ourselves, where somebody typically would do that as part of their job
right.
in a lot of cases.
In today's world, that's kind of what the promoting has went to, that's kind of their job. That's what they do for a living. And that was kind of the way we could only see how it would work for us, is if we go get the sponsors, and donate our time, because we all know racing's not a money-making sport. I mean, without them sponsors, without all the people throwing their hand in, and I mean, we're very lucky at the Southern Iowa Speedway, because you got old racers and friends of fair board members. Hey, we'll come help you this night, or we'll jump in when people are gone. It's worked very well.
Yeah, and that's really, from the outside looking in, that seems to be what you guys have done such a wonderful job of, is kind of that divide and conquer mentality. Like, okay, I'm going to kind of handle this. Jeremy, you kind of handle this. Justin, you're really good at this. You kind of handle this, and then seek that input from some of the guys. I know you and I have talked dozens of times over the last 8 or 9 years, and you're right. There was a time, and I remember the phone call.
I think I called you.
Yeah, and I'm getting goosebumps. I'm talking about it because we were really close to not having races out here. Yeah. And that's something that I don't think can be understated, is the fact that if you guys hadn't done what you did, there would not be weekly Wednesday night races at the Southern Iowa Speedway. It just flat out wouldn't have happened. And I don't know that if they would have gone away, they ever could have come back.
And that was our kind of big thing. I mean, once you leave, it's hard for the community to bounce back and get behind something on a weekly night program. So no, it's been good. There's been challenges, definitely.
No shortage of those.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I grew up racing, and I never knew how much goes into it, and that's what you got to be appreciative on my side, is knowing how much work does go and time goes into it.
And I think that's a big thing right now, is the way that social media is influencing a lot of stuff. I'm just going to say there is a lot of keyboard warriors out there. Honestly, there is. They're either going to back you up or they're going to hurt you. And I know that has been a big deal lately, is there's just a lot of people talking without maybe necessarily knowing
the whole situation
that's going on. And I know a big thing that people are always saying is, well, they'd get more cars if
X, Y, or Z.
X, Y, Z. And I think the big two that we're hearing a lot of is if they went back to IMCA sanctioning. And I know that's something that you guys have been, there's been a lot of talk around going back to IMCA, if I'm staying correct.
You're very correct on that. And Curtis and I have had this discussion over the last couple of years, and a lot of people don't know, we have actually tried to get in communication. Ryan and Chris have been up to Brett Root's office. They've met with him, and then the communication just falls apart. So it's kind of hard when they don't want to work with us. How are you ever supposed to make that working relationship happen?
Yeah, and it's a very dynamic situation, right? Because there's probably some things that have been said, not by you or anyone from the Southern Iowa Speedway, but maybe some folks that were involved with the Speedway previously. that were asked to not necessarily be involved anymore. And some of that stuff, and again, a lot of that's maybe hearsay or whatever. It's nobody actually knows, but at the end of the day, if I read if I read our conversations and talking to the other guys, Oskaloosa and the Southern Iowa Speedway want to ultimately be IMCA sanctioned.
We do.
We just we just need to figure out what that path is.
We got to figure the avenue to get there.
How that can work, right?
Yep.
So I think that's very important that the folks watching and the general public understand that is very much what
tried to
what
get
the race
done,
committee and the
yeah.
fair board ultimately wants to do, and you guys have taken those steps and actions towards that. And at this point, IMCA has whatever their reasons are. They've chosen not to do that, but that doesn't mean that it's.
We're not giving up.
You're
on
right.
it,
Yeah,
you know?
that doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. It just
Yep.
means that it hasn't happened yet.
Yep. And we've actually had that conversation. Is IMCA the right thing? I don't know. I mean, you go to CJ, there's not many more cars than we get, you know. I mean, there's a few, but it's not going to hurt us. That's for sure.
That's just it. I don't see the downside. I don't see a downside to it. I think you're right. I don't think that it's going to double your car count overnight by any stretch. I think today's racer is just enough different than 10 years ago or 20 or 30 years ago to where racing at Oskaloosa or West Liberty or Knoxville or any of the other large tracks like that, it takes a lot more.
It does.
From your racing program, and I don't care if that's maintenance, if that's better quality parts in your car, if that's this, that, or the other. You can just go right down the line, and it takes. It takes a better prepared car to be able to go fast at Oskaloosa. It just does. Now, the flip side of that is if you can run well at Oskaloosa, and we've been saying this for ever
years.
Yeah, that if you run good at Oskaloosa, you literally can go anywhere and run good.
Yes.
You know,
Well, it just happened a week or so ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Carter Vandenberg beat Ricky Thornton Jr.
Yeah, right. You know, those guys went over and had a very successful run, and they're most of the time competitor here,
Yep.
So
same with McGuire DeYoung.
Yeah,
you see
exactly. You just see it over and over
crazy.
and over. Whether it's great big races like that, with maybe Caden Carter running at some of those bigger races and running really good, or some of the other guys that pop in and out of here sometimes. It just proves to be true week in, week out, even weekly to the big shows.
Yep.
So then the next thing I want to talk about too is, so we have that one where Oskaloosa wants to go to IMCA, and then the other one you always hear is, well, like you look at Columbus Junction, some of these other tracks that were a half mile and they cut down to a 3/8. That helped out a lot. But it's not easy with the facility. I'll let you talk about that a little bit, Guthrie, just to
Well, it's kind of a
make it a 3/8 either. It's not.
It just, with our grandstand the way it is, the electric through that infield, and I mean, yes, it would be awesome to cut the track down, but the dollars just ain't there. And I'll be honest, we've talked to other tracks. I don't know that for what it costs to do it, I don't know we'd ever get our that's a big risk to get that return back.
Yeah, that's just it. Obviously, there's no guarantee.
I mean, in the 90s when you got 100 cars,
yeah,
maybe but
it
you
makes
didn't
sense.
need to do it back
Right.
then.
No.
Right. I think the other thing that potentially folks don't understand is when they look at the shape of the track too.
Yes.
Columbus Junction, Donaldson, some of those tracks that have shortened down, they were typically more of a paperclip type racetrack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had tighter, smaller radius corners and longer straightaways. So all they really did was cut, a couple 100 feet off each straightaway or 150 feet off each straightaway.
Yeah.
If we did that out here, we would have a complete circle.
Yes.
So it's not as easy as other facilities just because of the track shape. Now, that doesn't mean that it's impossible, but you're exactly right. You're talking about not only moving a ton of dirt, right?
Yes.
And I mean, not just a ton, literally tons and tons of dirt.
Yes.
But additionally, the other thing that we've got to think about is all that infrastructure that you mentioned, whether it's water, electricity, drainage,
lighting,
walls, lighting, all that stuff is something to factor in there. So it's not just as simple as one guy and a road grader and a bulldozer, right? I mean, it's significantly more than that. It takes a lot. Now, that doesn't mean that it couldn't be done. And
exactly.
if somebody out there is interested in donating their time, I'm sure the Fair Board would be more than happy.
They would
to-
entertain.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
but at the same time, it's an interesting thing, right? Because is it 100% guaranteed that it's going to bring people back?
You don't know.
I hear you loud and
Right.
clear on that. Do I personally think that it would? I do, but at the same time, I love going fast.
Right.
I love knowing that this is the biggest, fastest racetrack around, and that's a source of pride for me. But it's traditionally been that way. I've been on this earth 47 years, and ever since I've known Oskaloosa, is big like Knoxville,
Yeah.
and those are the two tracks that kind of others are measured against, in my opinion.
Yep.
And if I'm wrong, both tracks were built by the same people, Knoxville and Oskaloosa. If I'm
You could very
well be
right. I would not have
they're
that
pretty
answer
sure
for
they
you.
are.
so-
Their shape is
very
interestingly.
I'm pretty sure it was
very
by the
similar.
Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, could very
did
well be.
both.
I
Very
would
well
I would have to research that, but
Someone asked Jerry. I know Jerry Mackey knows.
there you go. You can get
So-
the answer tomorrow night then.
Jerry, comment on here after the fact.
But they
please.
are very, very similar. Having raced both, Knoxville maybe has a little bit more banking to it, and they've kind of done some weird stuff with their apron and kind of narrowed up the racetrack.
Narrowed that
and
racetrack,
Kind
yeah,
of
they
changed
have.
some of the angles and stuff. And, for me, I kind of see that, and it makes me go, dang it, Knoxville, would you not do that?
Yeah, right.
Right.
But be that as it may, the other thing I know I've heard people, well, just move the racetrack in on both ends, and make it 100 feet wide in the corner so that, it's a little bit smaller. Well, again, we're into electrical infrastructure, we're into drainage, we're
Yeah.
into
You'd be into drainage big time. 'cause
Yeah.
I think that's where.
That's where it all
yeah,
kinda
right.
lays,
So
so-
you're there is no easy answer there, but
No.
but it's still again something for the record. I think it's something that if there was a plan to feasibly do it, with financially feasible anyway.
It probably would have already been done.
Yeah,
to be
that's just it.
honest.
I think
You
that
know.
it either would have already been done, or if somebody out there has a plan or is willing to donate some stuff, you guys would certainly listen. I don't think
Yeah,
that we can say that you wouldn't.
We would definitely listen, but it's just there's a lot of moving parts to that, and it just in today's world it just doesn't pencil out right now.
For me too, I think it just goes back to tradition. It's a half-mile track, and the best of the best have always ran Oski, and they go other places and they do well, just like the conversation we had earlier. So, for me, I see both sides on what guys are saying, but for me, I think the half mile is much more enjoyable because I think this is where you really see the cream rise to the top. Is at a half mile racetrack, in my own opinion. It's so much different than running, a quarter mile or a track like Stewart or somewhere else.
Yeah,
know.
I think having raced those, I tend to, even back in the pavement days, right? I tended to like the bigger racetracks. I think just because it gave you a little bit more room to maneuver. Now, from a fan's perspective, a lot of fans would argue the opposite of that. Well, it's more exciting, in a smaller, tighter configuration, and I don't know. I've seen exciting races at both.
Yeah.
Little tracks,
Yeah.
medium tracks, big tracks. I've seen snoozers. I think so much goes into that I don't think anybody can just say across the board half miles are this or quarter miles are this or 3/8 or this or whatever, right? I think that it has so many variables that go into it that affect it.
Yep, I'd agree.
Yeah, so and then the last thing I really want to talk about, and we've been kind of touching on here and there, is there's so much time and effort and whatnot, and you guys have been doing a lot of improvements though around the track. Like you guys are getting on My Race Pass and whatnot. So, and that's a big thing right there, just getting onto My Race Pass. So why don't you talk about some of the things that are changing at the racetrack, and that you guys are trying to keep that kind of forward momentum going.
So yeah, we got the My Race Passes that people's been asking for that for a couple years, and we got MCG out there, and we can have it. I think that's a huge. I've not heard anybody say anything bad about it, so that's
I
a
think it's
great.
great.
thing.
I love my
I think it's a great thing.
You know, there's a few things. I'm not going to get real in depth, but we would eventually like to take the cars out of the infield, maybe put them on the back chute for the stands. You know, people in the grandstand.
As far as like trailers,
just
blocking
trailers
stuff,
blocking
I like
view.
that.
But that's got to come. We got to get a new bathroom and concessions built back there, and I mean that's all going to take time. But
I mean, little things, even like the railings in the grandstand.
the railings
right?
in
I
the
mean,
grandstand we've done.
There's so many. I don't want to say small things,
You know,
because they're
the-
not small, but in the scheme of things, maybe they are. But at the end of the day, they all add up, and they're such a.
One of the biggest things I think's made better racing is the guardrail out of 2. You know, people can't shoot.
You and
clear
I will
off.
disagree on that one. That's,
I do like it because it keeps them on the track a little better. You know,
it does. It
Curtis
does.
misses Pokemon.
No, I not that at all. I miss if something happens having somewhere to go.
Right, right.
I always argued with Humphrey that you can do the same thing with the grader. You know, you can just put an edge on it, and then if somebody goes over, they go over.
They go over.
But that doesn't change the fact that the wall's there and it is. But yeah, you're exactly right. You know, you guys and I don't say this just to be the race committee, because I don't mean just the race committee. I mean the entire fair board, and let's not just look at the racetrack. Let's look at the entire fairground.
Yeah, I mean,
over the last 5 to 10 years, there's just really multitudes of improvements and ongoing things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that
like
you
the
guys
sale
have
barn.
done. Yeah,
The sale barn's great.
the sale barn, that's a new thing. You know, the new beef barn a few years back. There's a cool thing coming this fall. I'm not going to say what it is, but everybody will see it. Probably coming in September. So
That's awesome.
that's going to be pretty neat. Big improvement to the fairgrounds. And
And I think that's kudos to your whole group.
everybody
of-
just
of-
works
of
up,
that.
works
Yeah.
really hard. And you know, it goes back to the social media thing. I mean, some days I wish I did not have social media, because negativity goes very far. The good stuff never gets pushed as hard as the negativity, and I just want people to sit back and, you know, we're not a promoter sitting here just taking money in and, you know, charging entry fees and stuff like that. We do, you know, our big money shows, we don't charge an entry fee. We try not to raise the pit passes, but maybe $5, you know, or something like that. And that's kind of what we want. And we don't need to give it all to the first place, because there's only one guy winning at the end of the night. You got to look at 2nd through 10th.
Yep.
You know,
And I think in your higher pay, number one, I think that's really awesome from a racer standpoint, what you guys did this year with like selecting, we're going to have these 4 or 5 nights.
Yep.
And they're going to be a little bit higher paying because, you know, we're doing this or that or however you get there. And that's up to you guys how you get there. But I think those purse breakdowns have been, you know, we all see I like to call, you know, my dad for decades has called them the old Dolly Parton payout, you know, where it's $1 million to win and second is $100.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, obviously not really, but
yeah,
in
I mean,
reality, I mean,
they
that's-
drop pretty quick.
yeah,
you know.
and then after first or second, it's just like, here's a weekly payout. The second thing, though, that I want to talk about is I think that's something that you guys have really been leading the pack, so to speak. When you guys took over, you were the highest paying weekly show in the state, bar none. Now, in the last 8 or 9 years, there have been some guys at other racetracks that have followed suit, and I think that they've done a decent job of doing that. But as far as I'm concerned, you guys kind of led that charge, and there are some tracks that still, you know, pay what they did 10 years ago. Oskaloosa's not one of them. They've done a
Yeah.
great job with that.
And we're going to keep trying to get some of the bigger money shows, you know, or I shouldn't say bigger money. We're going to keep trying to do these added money shows. Be honest, I thought it'd be tough getting sponsors for those. It's them guys, they want those. You know, we're actually having to, all right, you get it this year, they get it next year.
Great problem to have.
And it's
That's
a
awesome.
great problem. The community has supported us very well. So.
And
That's
and
awesome.
again, I think that goes back to what we talked about first. That's that historical thing, right?
is.
You know, it's tradition. It's been so long in this area, and again, as a competitor, but also as a fan, right? Because I think we're all fans before we're
Yep.
competitors or whatever. I think that it's kudos to you guys for that. Not only the race committee group, but I think the fair board in general, because you're
Yep.
exactly right. What you stated earlier, the fair board could have just popped the
Yeah, I
popped
mean,
the cork and,
they were to
and
the
there
point,
goes, you know,
they were
there's
done.
no more. There's no more. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome that you were able to. We want to really thank you for coming on tonight. First off, thank you, and again to the whole fair board, to the race committee for everything you guys are doing to keep our racetrack going each and every week, each and every year. It's awesome because I don't think people realized how close it was to there being no more weekly racing at the Southern Iowa Speedway, and then we had COVID happen, and you guys were able to keep it going. There are a lot of different variables, and just the want and the drive to keep things going has been absolutely incredible. So we want to thank you guys
absolutely
again for everything that you're doing. It means a lot to all of us.
And I know you guys don't hear it enough.
No, you don't.
The negativity is always louder.
Yep,
right?
absolutely. But there is a lot of good that comes through too. This week at the fair, one of the best fairs we've ever had in the 9 years I've
Outstanding
been on
fair.
the board.
Outstanding
fair.
fair. You guys knocked it out of the park again. So,
So.
So again, from a competitor and a fan, and the race promotion, working, announcing side of things, thank you.
Nope.
Thank you to you and
Thank you
everybody
guys
involved.
for promoting all the Wednesday nights. Without you guys, it wouldn't be here either. So.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you, Guthrie. So, alrighty, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to talk about a wild week that we've had in racing here and a lot of different controversies going on in the racing world in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Krista Sellers, driver of the 7K Figure 8 race truck. I race at local figure 8 tracks across southern Iowa. One of my good sponsors is CJ at Sigourney Motors. Next time you or someone you know is looking for a good used vehicle or in need of some minor repairs, you can contact CJ at Sigourney Motors. Give them a call at 641-224-8056 or stop by 705 East Jackson Street in Sigourney, Iowa. Hope to see you at the races or at CJ's shop.
Stop by James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. They have a variety of hanging baskets, annuals, shrubs, perennials, trees, mulch, and vegetable plants. Plus, you can spruce up your landscape with yard decor or decorate the inside of your home with home decor. James Family Greenhouse is also a great place to stop in for some gift ideas. You got to stop in and see it all for yourself. James Family Greenhouse at 701 East Jackson in Sigourney. And be sure to follow their page on Facebook.
At Nutrien Ag Solutions, we are dedicated to your success. We partner with growers like you to expand your possibilities with unparalleled offerings. Your unique challenges are met with more customized solutions than anyone else can offer. With you, we're feeding the future together.
And we're back here on the Tuesday night tune-up. We are live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Make sure you get in here for some pizza and some chicken on this Tuesday night. You got just a little bit of time left to do that. We thank Pizza Ranch. We thank Copeland Auto Body, Sigourney Body Shop, Sinclair Napa, Sigourney Motors, James Family Greenhouse, and Nutrien Ag Solutions in Keswick, Iowa. We're back with Safe and Curtis for our final segment of the show. Guys, take it away.
Holy cow! What a last week we've had here.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about nuts?
I mean, anything other than crazy? Describe it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have now instead of the King's Royal, we have the King's Carnage.
Or Carnage Royale, right?
I mean, Carnage Royale. Yeah,
you're exactly right. I mean. And it actually started early in the week, right?
It did. Unfortunately, it started just a few nights before at the Brad Doty Classic over at Attica, which is a premier racetrack. It's a very big race for sprint car racing, and it was kind of the first of a long series of things to stem that would happen between Outlaws and High Limits, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, the worst thing that any of us can see is a race car driver and or a fan getting injured. Obviously we want everybody to go home at the end of the day just like they came to the track. And unfortunately, 4 or 5 times over the last week that didn't happen, and that sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll let you start things off here. So we'll talk about Brad Doty, and then we'll kind of move into the rest of the car now.
Yeah, so in the B main on the last lap, there was an incident. A couple guys were racing hard, and Caleb Henry got the worst end of it. And unfortunately he ended up going to the hospital. Now I will admit I haven't gotten the updates that maybe I should have over the last week or so. That happened I think last Wednesday night.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just I very much, or I'm sorry, I think Tuesday night. But again, that was what kind of kicked off the week in a not super good way, and then everything moved down the road to Rossburg at Eldora for a couple nights of High Limit, and then a couple nights of World of Outlaws with the Kings Royal.
And they changed it so it always was the Joker's Wild. Now they called it the Joker's Jackpot for the first 2 nights, and we saw Aaron Reitzel winning there, which is honestly no real surprise at all.
Gosh, he's been good.
He's
everywhere.
been very fast everywhere he's gone, and again, you're seeing this mix of different winners between the series. You'll see an outlaw win with a High Limits win an outlaw race, and you see and now I really think for the first time where it's been a true, real, outlaw versus High Limit in the sense of everyone was there. We saw,
the best of the best were there.
Yeah, we saw a lot of High Limit wins, which I don't think necessarily everyone was expecting. Everyone was, it was supposed to be,
especially after.
Buddy
kind of went to that High Limit show in Nebraska and
correct
and waxed them pretty.
And
good.
then everyone was kind of posting. There was a Facebook post put out there, David Gravel, looking like everyone was saying he was going to win and getting crowned and stuff and whatnot, and he's going to be the one to dominate the whole week out there. And he tried to dominate a little bit, and
he had a week to forget.
He had a really bad week.
Yeah.
Let's just put it. It was not a good week for the 2-car, especially when you have to report to the World of Outlaw hauler after a race.
Well, the first night he ran second, right?
Yes.
And then got disqualified because his front wing was whatever, 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch too far forward.
Yes, and and the thing was, everyone's like, "Oh, the High Limits, they're going after the outlaw guys," and it's like, well, they went after even one of the guys that owns the series earlier in the year. So I mean, yeah.
Conspiracy
theorists. There's a lot of stuff.
They're always going to say.
To me, the thing is, every time that this has happened, they just enforce it. They haven't gave anyone any special real leeway. There was that one incident on a restart with Rico at the very beginning, but I mean, you haven't seen anything like that since. I would say that they came out and even said, like, here's exactly what.
Yeah, I thought Mike Hess did a great job.
Mike Hess did fantastic. I was so happy to see that the High Limits are like, you know what, you guys want to talk? Here's what happened. Yep. We're going to go ahead and tell you what exactly happened.
And not only did we check it with our gauge that we check every other car with.
We got the plumb bob out.
We got a plumb bob out just to make double, triple sure that everything is okay with our gauge.
And they had video evidence of them doing that too. I mean,
and they tried to check to make sure the front wing hadn't become loosened in any way and got moved for, I just thought they went above and beyond because the optics they wanted to make sure were crystal clear on it, and I think that they were.
Yeah, they did a really great job. I mean, obviously you could tell David's crew chief and whatnot was visibly upset, which I can't blame them.
I get it.
The rules are the rules. As dumb as it sounds, if you're going to enforce it, you have to stick with it. And I was glad to see, honestly, that they stood their ground and they're not like, oh, this is David Gravel or something. They stuck to it.
And I thought that Mike Hess did a good job saying that too. Hey, if it's 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, we probably give him a warning, type
Yes.
of thing. But when it's 3/4 of an inch, and those guys are no dummies. They understand that the further that wing is forward, the more leverage it's going to apply to that. So did 3/4 of an inch make him run second versus fifth or whatever? I don't know, and I don't know how you ever do that. But we're not talking a little bit. We're talking, a pretty good margin. So
Absolutely. So I was glad to see that. But, I mean, you want to talk about a rough week just for anyone racing at Eldora in general. I personally have never seen the extent of damage, lost cars, injured drivers. I mean, I have a friend that lives in Ohio. He's been to almost every King's Royal, and he said he's never seen Life Light land there 3 times in 3 days.
not a good
So,
thing. And
it's not.
that wreck Wednesday or Thursday night. While they were
scary.
live on Fox Sports 1, that's as big a deal as I've seen in recent years.
Oh, absolutely. It was. And, we're thinking of Aaron Reitzel. He has a bad foot ankle.
Yep.
Tyler Courtney, who had to have back surgery. It's just hard to see that. I mean, Brad Sweet, he's not as injured. He's just bruised up really bad and whatnot. Nothing broken. But so to see, the top 3 in points with the high limit series all have to take a medical draw here, or whatever you want to call that.
So tonight at Lernerville,
for the
they've
Silver
got
Dollar.
they've got a medical deal that they can do now. I don't know about Reitzel. I don't know how fast he can be back in the car with a broken foot or broken ankle. But we saw earlier in the year he took that rock to the face and raced the next week with a broken nose.
Absolutely.
And it was ugly.
Yeah, it was.
And
Unfortunately, I think it'd probably be a little easier to race with the broken nose.
Maybe
potentially than-
you might be right. I don't know.
Trying to have your foot on a pedal.
That's just it. I think you're right. Obviously Tyler Courtney. Best wishes to all these guys.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
But Tyler Courtney's gonna be out for a while.
Right, and so then when you look at what happened with Tyler Courtney and him being out, that kind of I think is going to segue us into our next part here, which was KCP, Giovanni Scelzi, minutes after the wreck with them, they split ways.
Yeah, so
right, clean cut.
He tears up a car, and literally that night, basically the team and the driver go separate ways, and the next morning he's hooking up his merchandise trailer and he's headed back to Iowa.
Yep, and then so now we're going to see him filling in that 7 BC car some.
Yep.
Not all of the races.
Yep.
They have another driver that's going to do a little for them
Okay.
as well, but he will be in the car a couple times. And then KCP announces today that Emerson Axum is going to be their driver. So, unfortunately, I don't know how to say this. KCP has been one of those teams where we've seen where Gio was one of their longest drivers that
Yes.
they had. Before that, you had Ian Matson in the car for a little bit. They've had a few different drivers in the past, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Emerson. He is another very young kid who has been competing now in we saw him in non-wing and midget racing.
Yeah.
He's one of those where the transition to wing sprint cars, so it's going to be very interesting. I mean, the last 2 drivers KCP has had are both very young drivers that have a lot of talent, but then we see them leave after not necessarily a long hiatus with the team.
I think you're right. In Gio, it seemed like Gio maybe brought some stability to that team. I don't know all the inner workings there, and I don't claim to, but but yeah, I mean, anytime you're with somebody for 4 or 5 years as a driver car owner, that's a pretty long. Pretty long relationship.
Well, yeah,
so
I mean,
obviously there were things, happening behind the scenes that we don't know, but.
Because you look at guys like, Tony Stewart Racing that have stood behind Donnie Schatz for a long time through the good, the bad, a little bit of ugly.
Oh, yeah.
It hasn't been, always success. It's been a team that's been struggling a lot lately.
Yeah, and and I had hoped that was the Ford thing, right?
Right.
You know, and I hope that when they put the Chevy back in it, that man, they were just gonna
Take the world back
yeah, I
over
thought
kinda.
they
Yeah,
really could, you know, because you didn't know, right?
No, you had no clue.
So I had kind of hoped that was going to happen. It hasn't, you know.
No.
So now you start to look at other things, and I know people are talking about, well, is it just losing Ricky Warner, or whatever, the crew chief thing. Maybe that's a bigger thing than others. Speaking of the Ford, the Rodin car took the Ford out mid-week last week. So maybe the parts supply things that the Stewart team was talking about.
Ford has been struggling a lot with their engine development side in the sprint car racing world for a little bit now. And it's good to talk about this because I want to talk about the the Roth team a little bit with Buddy and stuff. They're still using the Toyotas.
Yep.
And so a big question that has been asked to me lately is where do I think that Gio Scelzi could land long term? And I see the Roth team as a potential for him because for a while there he was part of that Toyota development team
for
with
a
those
long
engines
while in the midget deal.
Right. So and not just in
I'm sorry, that's Buddy.
But
that's Buddy. Yeah.
Gio was when he first came and stuff, they got him involved with the Toyota racing motor program, and that's what they ran for a long time. And then
who else had TRD on their nose wing and was running Toyota stuff at Kings Road? Do you remember? I was thinking there was somebody else. That had that, but I can't remember.
But I can't remember. But I would like to see Gio land there because I think he can really help because he was making a lot of headways. So for a while there, when Roth was running those, they brought Kerry Madsen in for Knoxville because they needed some insight from a driver that has had a lot of work there, and Kerry was looking for a ride, and it just so happened to work out, and I got to talk to Kerry and interview him at Nationals when they were doing that, and his response was that he thinks it's a better motor than the Chevy motors when they hold together.
Yeah,
that was a big thing though at the time. Was they were having some crankshaft issues, messing with different alloys. They were breaking, not holding together. But it'd be great to see Gio land there because I think him and Buddy have very similar mindsets. They're very similar in age as well.
I think so. And they're both tons of
talent. And they both have the knowledge of these Toyota motors as drivers to know what they like, what they don't like with them. So I really hope that, Roth could pick him up here. Yeah. I know that, Klaus and Marshall really wants him as well right now because he is a very good driver and it would definitely help their points situation out. I think it would be hilarious because then we would technically see a guy that was a World Outlaw switch to the High Limit Series, and I kind of feel like that was part of the point what Klaus and Marshall was doing to get him to. I think we're seeing more of that, and I think the incident between Larson and Gravel was kind of the. This has been a long time coming, I think, and not necessarily against those two.
Yeah, just in general.
When we saw High Limit Series come out and the split started to happen, you saw guys that would normally talk together and stuff. That communication was basically like cut.
There's the proverbial line in the sand.
There has been so much tension between both of these series, and it finally happened at Kings Royal. And if you were there, what a time to be at a Kings Royal. I mean, unfortunately, there was a lot of bad that happened, but finally to see, two of the tops in both of those divisions, even though Kyle isn't in top in points, I mean, still he's
arguably one of or the best,
and it also co-owns the series against the guy that's looking to win his, third straight World Outlaw championship. So, to me, it was great.
Lots of drama and storylines.
There always seems to be, but I feel like this is the first year where the Kings Royal was that real proverbial split, and you finally saw the tension between both series blow over finally and come to a head. And it gets me really excited for Nationals now.
Yeah, I think
and if you're not excited
right.
for Nationals, then find something else to watch.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it was probably brewing for a while, and I think that we've just kind of maybe started to see the beginning of silly season, in the sprint car world.
It always seems to happen in that like mid to late July, coming up to Nationals. There will be a bunch of stuff that happens right after Nationals, because if you don't perform well, it seems like that's when the ultimate breakup decides to happen. So
yeah, I think the next month is definitely going to be interesting in wing sprint car stuff.
Not just wing sprint car stuff though.
There's more crazy.
There's more crazy across the board here. Of course, with late models. And if you haven't seen that video, all you have to do is type in Bob Gardner on Facebook and it'll pop up. And you want to talk about a spearheaded, stupid move to take on the racetrack.
Yeah,
look up Bob Gardner, because that was one of the
guys.
It is,
and on one hand, he's kind of a staple in the Illinois racing scene of dirt super late models. But man, on the other side of it, it's like I'm not here to say that the slider that was put on him was good or bad, right? I mean, I think that there's plenty.
We're not here to judge that.
Yeah.
We're just here to judge what happened after the slider.
And I understand that frustration, right? But to go onto a track backwards while the track is green flag, I think that's really where this went wrong. And again, I know he also stayed on the gas after the slider and got together with the other guy and ended up going down the track and running into Dylan Thornton and tearing up his stuff. I don't like that either, but the sanctioning body came down big on Mr. Gardner.
I'll be honest, I don't think they came down hard enough, my own opinion, because...
Well, I think that's where in that deal they say a minimum of 6 months
that could be
all of those things.
That could be right.
That could very well turn into 9 months or a year.
Yeah, and I think it will. So here is the suspension list for the 4-car of Bob Gardner. A minimum 6-month indefinite suspension from the Mars Late Model Series, 6 months from the World of Outlaw Late Model Series, and indefinite suspension for 6 months from any dirt car or World Racing Group sanctioned event.
Yeah, so that's big. Because
that's a lot. Now I'm really shocked that we haven't seen anything from Lucas Oil.
Well, I think since it didn't happen at a Lucas Oil event,
right?
I think that's I think that maybe that's the difference. But you're right. It that could be coming. It's hard to say.
It could be. Just my only thing is that Illinois and Lucas Oil late models are like this a lot, and you see a lot of that there. Now I'm not saying that they should. I'm kind of shocked that we haven't seen that yet, because it always seems like all these sanctioning bodies, as much as they fight and there's issues between each other and one's trying to take more away from the other, they all kind of come together when stuff like that happens. I mean, you see it in Pennsylvania. That just happened to a couple guys in Pennsylvania, where one track, it happened at Selins Grove, but then Babs decided, hey, you know what, if you get suspended there, we're going to suspend you from our track as well.
At the end of the day, it happened at one track and they suspended the driver, and then 3 or 4 other tracks band together and say the same thing. And I think that sends a pretty big message that, using your race car, in that manner.
Turning a race car into a demo derby car does not end well.
It's just, I don't.
I know. Yeah, it's there's a lot of different feelings and emotions there. I get that. It's not tough when you're racing and you have a bad slide job thrown, even a clean one where it gets right in front of your nose and a lot of dirty air or whatever. I get that, but you have to be able to a point control your emotions, whether you want to or not, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. You get held to a different standard, because not only are you out there racing, but there's the next generation, and you have these young fans that see this stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's a. And again, I raced, and there are nights where you're really frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
and things happen, and you're mad. You want to scream and yell and cuss and go hit someone or whatever. But
and even in everyday life, who hasn't said or done something
absolutely
that
we
they
all
wish that they hadn't done or said, or that they could take back? Right? I know for me personally, that list is extremely long and gets longer every day. But in this case, where we go backwards around a track that's green, thankfully the officials through the yellow got on the receiver. They were letting guys know, what was going on. But then at that point, that was bad enough.
Yes.
Then to take it to the next level and actually get the guy stopped that you're mad at, and then proceed to run into him and flip him over. Now, I understand Mr. Gardner said that he didn't intend to do that, and I don't think that he did intend to. I think he was probably trying to flatten his tire, so his heat race was over too. But at the end of the day, that still happened, and it's bad. I think in the last decade, maybe longer, there's just been a bit of an erosion of that. Carrying. It used to be. I respect my equipment and I respect my competitors' equipment, and anymore, I think that for the most part, in a lot of those cases, they definitely don't respect somebody else's equipment, and in a lot of cases, they don't even respect their own. And it's
absolutely not.
It's really hard to see that, and I don't know the answer. I wish that I did. Maybe this type of suspension is the right thing. Time will tell.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. So on one last thing, tomorrow night is the season championship at the Southern Iowa Speedway, Mahaska night at the racetrack. So make sure you all come out. It is the last race of the year at the Southern Iowa Speedway. So
the last regular season race.
Race, yes.
We've still got the front row challenge on Tuesday before the Nationals with the 410 sprint cars, and then we also have the fall challenge in October.
The last regular season. This is for all the marbles. So, and one last thing we need to talk about real quick is our good host over here, Steve Shetler, had a run-in this morning, if I remember, with Rory
Fox.
Rory, that's his name. Yeah, I was going blank there. So, Steve, why don't you let all the fans know how you're doing, what the next steps are for Steve Shetler and Rory Fox saga?
Well, I've had a lot of people reaching out today asking if I was all right. A lot of people saw. I was at the very end of the morning show, just another morning show. We've been Tuesdays the last several weeks have been about CEW coming back to the Delta Dome, the Delta Gymnasium in Delta, Iowa. And this wrestler, Rory Fox, has been calling in. He's been harassing us in the comments. And he actually showed up in person today at the studio and caused quite the scene, to the point where the folks at Barnwired, the coffee shop below the studio, heard the ruckus going on. They actually called 911.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we had the cops on the way.
Oh, boy.
I was, myself and Austin Bayless were both physically attacked. But I'm doing all right. I banged my head pretty dang hard on the floor when he pushed me over in my chair. Bummed up my knee and my ankle. But you know what? People were saying, you should press charges. But that I think that's the easy way out. You may have seen my video that I put up in response earlier today.
No, we haven't. What happened there?
Well, I have Austin Bayless, who is the owner of CEW and also an active wrestler, has been asking me the last several weeks to actually wrestle, like participate in a match, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is. You're too old to be doing that.
I'm too old. I'm completely out of shape.
That's true, too.
I've been refusing Austin the last few weeks, but after getting attacked today, I've decided, instead of taking legal action, we're going to do this man-to-man, and we're going to settle it in the ring.
No way!
Get out of here.
A 6-man match. It's going to be 3-on-3 at the Delta Dome. Me and 2 partners against Rory Fox and his 2 partners. August 2nd at the Delta Dome.
I love
Be there
it.
if you like wrestling.
Welcome to the Delta Dome.
If you like drama, if you like
I love
athletics,
it.
I won't be providing the athletics, but I'll be providing some of the drama. So
Steve can
be there in person.
First off, Curtis and I are glad you're okay.
No doubt.
But secondly, good for you. I'm glad to see that. I hope you get a couple good shots in to
time
make
to
up for
man
the
up.
time to. I like it. That sounds like what Bob Gardner probably said before he did what he did.
Bring your folding chair.
By the way,
Folding chair.
I will not be wearing wrestling tights.
Oh, come
No,
on!
I do
No.
not want to put people through that.
I mean, it would be hilarious.
That'd be
but-
traumatizing for people.
Well, we're glad you're okay, and we're glad for your next steps here. We're excited to see how that goes for you. I assume that you're going to be doing some working out in some form or another here.
Yeah,
maybe?
I might get some running in, maybe some light weights, and at least attempt to get into
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit
you know
of
what?
shape.
We could help him. We could do like that scene from Rocky, like running through the streets and stuff. I'll get on my bike.
Punching a frozen thing of meat.
Yeah, there you go. That would be hilarious.
Yes.
We could have him over to your shop,
boy.
like trying to get tires on and
There
stuff.
you go.
Grooving tires.
Yeah.
Oh man, this could be good for
Yeah,
you
no
and
doubt.
impossible.
No doubt. So-
Anyway, again, we're glad you're okay, Steve. That was our little.
And listeners should stay tuned for updates, right? Between
Oh yeah,
then and
we'll
now.
be talking about this on the morning show big time tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
I'm just glad you're okay. That's more important to us than anything.
Well,
we're
thanks.
glad you're okay. So that's
No doubt.
yeah. Wow, that crazy
quite-
morning
quite
for
the
Steve
scene.
Shetler. Yeah, absolutely.
I know your mom's safe was even asking you if I was
Yeah, my
all right.
mother-in-law has. Yeah, she was very concerned, and I didn't realize what had really happened yet. And then before the show started, I watched the video. Holy cow! Yeah, that was nuts, man.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
we're glad you're
It's,
okay.
very very surprising.
Maybe
turn of
Curtis could be a
events.
fourth, and he'll come in and
There you go.
can dirty tag
No, he
Curtis
could
in.
not. He is far too old and even more out of shape than you are.
Shoot, no, well. Anyway, so that's all we have, folks. We want to thank you once again for tuning in to TNT, the Tuesday night tune-up here from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the racetrack tomorrow night at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Again, there's other racing action going on throughout the week, so make sure you get to your local dirt track and support it. All the tracks need supported right now, so
Absolutely.
make sure you get out there. If you can't watch, subscribe to something so you can watch them. Flow Racing or however you can get your way of watching them. And again, make sure you stop here and check out the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. Bring some supplies to donate. For the back to school unfortunately we are getting closer and closer to
Summer's kinda starting to
ending.
wind down, isn't it?
Summer days drifting away. So
No doubt. Well, yeah. Again, glad Steve's all right,
Yes.
and thanks for everybody for tuning in, and thanks to Guthrie for coming on and kind of
Absolutely.
shedding light on some things that I think the average person probably had some questions about or
Yes.
wasn't sure, and I think he
it was great.
Did
This
a
has
great
been a
job.
long time
Yeah.
coming.
I think he
and
did
we're
awesome.
So glad.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, folks, we will catch you all here next week live at 7 p.m. at the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. This is Safe from the Tuesday Night Tune-Up, and we will see you next Tuesday.